Hey, is this thing on? Discipline is commonly defined as the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior, using punishment to correct disobedience. This can create a negative mindset around the topic of discipline, especially if it's only being related to punishment or negative reinforcement. But what if we flipped that narrative and we decided that self-discipline is a positive motivator instead? In this video, we will identify 5 ways that self-discipline can be beneficial and make a positive impact in your life. Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't guessed it by now, in today's video, we are going to be focused on self-discipline. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be discussing 5 ways that self-discipline can be beneficial and make an impact in your life. So let's go ahead and jump right into number 1. First up is to identify your why. If you don't have a reason behind why you're doing something or why you're following a disciplined lifestyle or routine, then what's the point? But if you identify your reasoning and you have that motivating factor, it's so much easier to continue and to keep going. I personally believe that discipline is directly linked to motivation. So once you find what motivates you, once you identify that reason why, then all you have to do is connect something to it, like a system such as vision boarding or something that keeps you grounded and focused on your goals and your purpose and what you're really going after. Then from there, you're able to design a plan that's directly linked to discipline that is going to help you continue working toward those goals. My second tip is to create routines. It's so much easier to maintain or find that balance or really continue working towards something if you have a routine set up, because you don't have to constantly think about like, okay, what's next? What should I be doing? What steps should I be taking? Because you're already in a routine. So it's kind of like you're on autopilot and you're automatically going to do every single thing that you need to do to move in the right direction. I recommend starting simple. Don't overwhelm yourself with so many routines and this extremely stringent schedule right away, but definitely start off with a morning and an evening routine. These are easy to create, they're easy to follow, and it makes them very sustainable. And if you're not sure where to begin, well, you're probably in the right place because YouTube has so many amazing videos and resources of people who are sharing their morning and evening routines. I'm not saying that you have to copy them, but if you watch the morning and evening routines here on YouTube, you can get some inspiration, kind of see what other people are doing, things that have worked for them, and then you can compile a list of things that you want to try in your morning and evening routines and develop a system that truly works for you. And the great thing is you're not stuck with it. So once you create this routine, definitely go through the process, give it some time, see if it's working out for you. And if it's not, that's okay. You can adjust and you can make changes. Which actually leads me to number 3, which is to develop a system for self-assessment. You're not really going to know if something's working for you or not if you're not paying attention and tracking your progress. I was actually chatting with a client about this recently, and I think it's definitely because of my background in education and as a teacher. I feel like self-assessment is so important because it helps you to get a clear picture of where you're at and what steps you need to take moving forward. You're also able to monitor yourself, monitor your progress, and identify patterns. One area that I like to use this for personally is in planning my content for YouTube. I typically plan the month ahead of what I'm gonna share, and then to follow up with that, I use like a very simple checks and X's system. So I had like a check if I recorded it, a check if I edited it, and then a check once I posted it, and then if I didn't do any of those things, I have an X. So then from that point, I'm able to look it over and assess and see, okay, what type of content did I not post? What days did I plan to record or post on that I didn't do? And then from there, I'm able to see, okay, what's really working for me and what's not. And I can reevaluate and reallocate my time and also kind of redesign the content that I'm making, because if I didn't want to make the video, it's probably not something that's inspiring for me and it wouldn't be inspiring for my community either. So then I can really see, okay, what do I need to take away and what can I add to make sure that this is more aligned with what I want to share. And that goes back to the first one, which is that motivation piece. If I want to share about it, I'm going to be motivated to film it, to plan it, to edit it, and get the content posted. But if not, then there's something missing. And so if I've tracked that, I've done the self-assessment, it'll be so much easier for me to identify what that missing piece is. So definitely for you, if don't just continue like moving along and saying, well, I've been trying this, it's not really working. Take a moment, take a step back to really assess and create a system that works for you that's going to help you continually work toward your goals. And again, that leads to number 4, which is to be willing to make adjustments. Sometimes things do not work out, and that is okay. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work out at all. It just may not work out the way that you initially planned for it to, or the way that you envisioned it. So you can rework it, adjust it, and create something that was even better than you could have ever imagined. So you definitely have to do these 3 things: be open to change, growth, and progress, but you also have to truly be honest with yourself as well throughout the process. If you know that you created all of these systems that are not realistically sustainable for you, whether it's draining your time or your energy, or you're just not inspired, it's not something that you want to do, then that is okay. Be honest with yourself and how you're feeling about it, and don't just continue doing something because you felt like you've already put this effort into it. It is completely fine to change course, and it's not gonna feel so laborious because it's really something that you want to do. So if something is like genuinely challenging for you to the point where you're just like, this is draining me, this is making me very unhappy, don't continue to do it. It is okay, especially if it's something that you didn't necessarily choose in the beginning, but maybe you were influenced to do by others or encouraged to do by others. They may mean really well, but for you yourself, you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, you know what goals you have in life. So take a moment to think about what that is and tweak and adjust until you can get into a rhythm and a system that is going to be something that you really want to do. But it's also the same from the opposite perspective. If you're kind of doing things and you're like, wow, this is really easy, I feel like I'm kind of coasting through, then can you do more? Can you challenge yourself? Can you elevate? Can you move to that next level without, of course, like overworking and being burnt out? But if you know that you want more, you want to make progress faster or reach your destination quicker, then what can you do in order to get yourself there? Definitely go through the process of thinking through these things and make adjustments as needed, and realize that it's okay. And I always suggest tracking those adjustments as well, because sometimes you forget that you tried something. And so it can be like, oh, what about this? And then you start doing it and it's like, this feels really familiar. But if you're tracking it, then you'll know, okay, I've tried this before, it didn't work. Maybe I can just make some minor changes here and there to the system that I used. But with these changes, it could be way better for me. So with that tracking, you're able to really develop a great plan, and that plan is going to propel you forward. And the 5th tip is to be proactive. At the end of the day, you just have to do it. You have to immerse yourself. A lot of times people often speak about exposure therapy. Of course, not too much. Definitely kind of work your way in, especially if it's something that's causing you anxiety. But once you do things more and more, you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable with it. Like, I know for myself, that's especially true regarding YouTube videos. I wasn't nervous when I started recording, but I definitely was like a lot more reserved, I guess. And so now I'm just like, hey, let me tell you all of this. And sometimes I go off on tangents, but I feel like I'm able to express myself and share my personality while also sharing great advice and tips for self-improvement and for personal growth. And I was able to find that balance by just continuing to do it, continuing to be consistent. And then I was able to get in a flow and feel like, yeah, this is definitely something that I want to continue doing. And I can see that with the growth of my channel as well as I'm building this community. I definitely feel like discipline is directly related to not giving up. I think of discipline a lot, especially when it comes to fitness. I like to use the Peloton app, or sometimes I'll ride the bike and they're like, just keep going, 15 seconds more. And it's at the point where I'm like, no, I cannot go anymore. I need to give up. But having that extra push and realizing like, oh, okay, it's not that much longer, like just 15 seconds more and I can reach my goal and be extremely proud of myself, is something that can definitely help me to keep going and to maintain that discipline system. So sometimes in life, regardless of what it is, in so many different areas, it can be hard, it can be challenging. You can start to feel extremely overwhelmed. You can feel worn out and tired. Those are all normal feelings. And I think even if you enjoy what you're doing, you still can start to experience that burnout. But another part of discipline is also noticing that, paying attention to your body and your mind and how things are making you feel, and reassessing, making some changes if you're like, hey, I need to make a few adjustments so that I can continue to do this. I speak a lot about sustainability because I feel like it's so important, and I want you to always remember, even with discipline, you have to make your routines and your systems and your practices and your planning sustainable, because you can go, and then if you burn out, then what? Are you starting over from zero? Are you not picking it back up at all? It definitely can have some negative consequences. So that's also why I love to recommend that you track things, really see how this is going for you. And if you're like, I need to make a few changes, that is completely okay. But it's so much easier to get started again, or to like accelerate, if you've only slowed down a little bit or you've kind of reduced your rhythm. But if you stop completely, it's so much harder. You have to put forth so much more effort and energy to get going again. So definitely just don't stop, even if it's small steps. Those small steps can definitely lead up to something big, and you can regain that momentum again if you just keep going, stay disciplined, but also continue to check in with yourself. Thank you all so much for watching this video today. I hope you found my chat about self-discipline to be helpful. It's definitely something that you can like adjust your mindset to have a positive view of, and realize how it can be beneficial for your life, and knowing like that intrinsic motivation is going to be so much more important than any other external factor, because you're doing this for you. So definitely continue to just believe in yourself and to push yourself in a healthy way, and to just give your absolute best in every situation that you can, and realize how much joy and fulfillment that's going to bring to your life. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next weekly dose of self-improvement. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Affirmations with Amber.